Hello, my name is Sonali Chatterjee. I welcome you once again in a new episode of Knowledge Feast. In today's video, you are going to learn what is Karl Pearson's correlation coefficient. So let's check it out. Okay, to understand clearly what is Pearson correlation coefficient, first of all we have to understand that what is correlation. So two variables will be considered as correlated with each other if there is a value change in one variable which will cause a value change in the other variable. For example, you have two variables x and y. There is a value change in the x, and if it is causing a value change in the y, then x and y, these two variables will be called as correlated with each other. So we understand there could be a correlation between two variables. Now we have to measure, right, by what extent, to which degree these two variables are correlated. For example, at this point of time, if the value of x is 5, the value of y is 10. Now you are increasing the value of x from 5 to 10. If the change in value of x is causing a value change in y value was 10, and if it is setting the value of y to 20, then we can see that x and y, these are perfectly positively related, because we are just increasing the value of x two times, which is causing a value increase in y exactly two times, right? So we have to understand that first we need to identify if two variables are correlated with each other. If yes, then we have to measure to which degree, to what extent these two variables are correlated with each other. So that measurement can be done using coefficient of correlation. If coefficient of correlation is measured on a sample data, then it would be termed as R, which is also known as Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. Okay, so two variables can be correlated with each other, and to measure to which extent these two variables are correlated with each other, we need correlation coefficient. And that correlation coefficient, when it is determined on the sample data instead of the whole population, then that is termed as R, and that is called Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. Now the value of R can be in the range of -1 to 0 to +1. If the value of R is +1, that means that there is a perfect positive relationship between two variables. If the value of R is -1, that means a perfect negative correlation, and if the value of R is 0, that means there is no correlation between two variables. Okay. So +1 means a perfect positive relationship. That means when you are increasing the value of x, the y value is also increasing. -1 means a perfect negative correlation. So when you are increasing the value of x, the other variable y is decreasing. And if there is the value of r is 0, that means there is no relation. There is no correlation between x and y. They are completely independent variables. Okay. Okay, on the screen you can see what is the formula of determining the sample coefficient of correlation, which is R. So here you can see the formula, right? Here n is the number of samples. The number of x values or the number of y values that is taken into consideration, and x is the independent variable. What does it mean? It means that the values of x is known to us and y is the dependent variable, right? So y value has to be predicted, y value has to be determined based on the values of x. So here there are three variables, n, x and y, where n is the number of samples, that is the number of x values and y values we are taking into consideration during our analysis and sampling, and x is the independent variable. So x values are known to us, and y value we have to predict, we have to determine based on the x value. So y is the dependent variable, x is the independent variable, and this is the formula of determining the sample coefficient of correlation, which is the Pearson coefficient of correlation. Okay. To make you understand how you can calculate Pearson's correlation coefficient, I am taking a case study where you can see that the advertisement and sales figure of a particular brand or a particular company is provided in the case study for a specific year. Okay, now we have to find it out what is the Pearson correlation coefficient between the advertisement and the sales. Okay, so why it is important for the company, why they are taking this analysis? Because they need to understand whatever amount they are spending on the advertisement, whether that advertisement is helping them to increase their sales figure. So if they find after this analysis that okay, advertisement and sales, these are not correlated or not strongly correlated, then they will decide okay, advertisement is not helping us to increase our sales figure, so we need to it may happen that the company need to redesign their advertisement events and other sales promotions, or they may allocate a less budget for their advertisement because it is not really helping them to increase their sales figure. But if the scenario is on the other side, if they find okay, whatever we are spending on that advertisement, that is actually helping us to increase our sales figure, in that case definitely they will continue with that advertisement whatever they have at this moment. They can also allocate more funds for the advertisement so that it can help them to increase more sales, right? So that is why these important decisions making, business decisions making, actually those are done based on the data, those based on the informations, based on the insightful information which can be extracted using the statistics, right? And that is why this particular company with this particular advertisement and sales figure, they are trying to find it out what is the Pearson correlation coefficient between these two variables, advertisement and sales figure. Okay, so moving on with this particular case study. You can see the same snapshot of the figure, the advertisement and the sales figure. Okay, here the advertisement that is expressed by the variable x, and sales that is expressed by the dependent variable y. So here x is the independent variable and y is the dependent variable, because based on the x value we are going to predict the values of y, so that we can understand and we can calculate the R value. R value is the Pearson coefficient of correlation, right? And based on the R value, the company will understand whether advertisement and sales, they are correlated, and if yes, to which extent they are correlated. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. Now we know what is the formula of calculating the R value, right? So for this given data set, whatever data has been provided in the case study, to calculate the value of R, what we have to do? We have to obtain the values of x into y. This is the product of x and y. Then we have to calculate x square, and then we have to calculate y square. So these three values will be very, very important in order to calculate the value of the R. Okay. Okay, now we know the individual y values, we know the individual x values. So for each of the record, for each of the entry in the table, we are calculating the value of x square, the value of y square, and the product of x and y. For each of the entry, we are calculating all these values. And when we are done with calculation all these values, then we have to calculate the sum of x, sum of y, sum of x square, sum of y square, and sum of x into y. So we are first calculating the individual x square, individual y square, individual x and x into y value. Okay, and then you have to sum all these values. For each of the column, you have to calculate the sum. First, you calculate the sum of y, sum of x, sum of x square, sum of y square, and then sum of x, product of x into y. Okay. Now we know what are the values. We have calculated the individual values. Just you have to put those individual values in the formula, right? And putting the individual values into formula, we are calculating the R value equal to 0.8878. So this is a positive value because it is greater than 0. So this is a positive value and it is almost approaching towards +1. That is why we can say that x and y, that is the advertisement expenses and the sales figure, they are having a strong positive linear correlation, because we know if the R value is +1, that means that refers to perfectly positive relationship, right? So this 0.8878 which is approaching towards +1, that is why we can consider that advertisement expenses and the sales figure for the company are having strong positive linear correlation. Okay, so this is all for today's session. I hope you like this video. If you really like this video, please do subscribe to my channel, like, share, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you will get notifications for all of my upcoming videos. Thank you so much. See you in the next session.